So we tried a slightly different approach here in Rattery, especially around trying to think about climate change and parish planning going into the future, basically. And Rattery's been so good because it's kind of quite a similar size to a lot of parishes around Devon. And there's so many parishes that say, well, what can we do? You know, what can we do? We're just sort of a small group of people, but you know, Rattery's got such an amazing community, and it's got such an active sort of realm of people that we thought it was perfect. And if we can learn something here, we might be able to take it to different places. So we joined you in the summer, at the summer show, got a load of input and ideas about the future of Rattery, especially thinking about climate change and the way you know, the weather might be changing and what might need to be done about that. And then we worked with Steph to take all those little individual ideas that people gave us on boards, I don't know if anyone remembers, and we worked with Steph to try and bring it to life. And Steph's done an amazing job, so I'm really looking forward to hearing her story. Thank you for having me, and yeah, thank you very much. Hand over to Steph.
Thank you, Harry. I'm just going to time myself so that you don't get bored. Hang on 1 second. All right, though, first of all, can you hear me at the back? Yes. Yes, great, good. All right, then, so I'm going to tell you a story. Now, some of you might know that I have a habit of walking around the country collecting stories. This time it's a little bit different, and I'm going to take you with me. So, I'd like you to join me on a journey to 2035. So, we'll be a few years older, but not so much. And some of our little ones, we've just lost him, some of our little ones will be quite a bit bigger. 2035. So I'd like you to join me now. We're going to start at Penswell. Once upon a time, there was a school at Penswell. There's a photograph out there of the children. And not so many years ago, before Rattery even had its own tapped water, the women would take their buckets down to the well at Penswell to bring water back into their homes. So let's start there. I'd like you to walk with me. We're going to walk up through the village and see if you can recognise some of the places. Well, first of all, the plains. Well, it's still there. Some things have changed. Okay, we've lost power. Okay, can you still hear me at the back?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. There might even be a little blacksmith, like there used to be, just there, by the stream. So let's walk up through the village, past the court, past where the old village hall used to be. And then we're going to take a left up the lovely grassy pathway between the church and the pub. It's a very well-used track. And it always was, but now it's even more well-used. Because you see, people in Rattery are walking a lot more. Not just because we like the exercise, but because everybody is out. So we talk to people as we walk, and there are a lot less cars on the road. Because everything's happening here now in the village. We don't need to travel very far away. So as we go up, past the church, and I'll tell you about the church in a moment, what happened there, we're going to go through what you might remember as a car park. It used to be the village green. And now, in 2035, well, it's got racks for bikes all the way along. There's space for a few cars. There are some cars still, but there's plenty of bike racks and some rather large tubs full of edible herbs. So you'll never go short of your mint for mint sauce ever again. You can pick them from the tubs. So we're going to carry on past the potter, well, she's doing well, past the entrance to the farm. The blacksmith down there, he's doing remarkably well. Some of you will remember back then in 2022, he made a new sign for the pub. Still there, looking good. And now, oh look, here's the village hall. It's still got its solar panels right across the roof. It's almost 30 years old now. But it still looks just as good as ever. Let's go and have a look. Let's walk down into what you would have called the car park, I think, back in 2022. But now, well, it's so much more than just a car park. Have you seen our e-charging bay? We've got batteries for our e-cars and our e-bikes, and they charge them right here. It's amazing. We love them. Just below there, there's the composting site. Well, you might remember back in 2022 when the council said they wouldn't take our composting anymore. Well, we didn't worry too much about that. We've got our own composting facility now, just like our neighbours in South Brent. But our compost is so good, people are coming from miles around to buy it from us. We don't let them take it all, of course. We need it for our community garden. And there's the Fix-It shed. In the Fix-It shed, you'll find several people you probably recognise. They can fix kettles and irons and bicycles. They can even mend clothes. And it's all volunteer run. And you never know who's going to be there. But you can guarantee if you take something along, they'll fix it for you. And on a Tuesday, well, the share shed comes along. You remember back then they used to go to South Brent and Dartington, they missed us out. Not anymore. They come here too, so we can borrow larger pieces of equipment and we don't have to store them here. Because after all, our village hall has become such an important, even more important than now, place to be. We're almost running out of space. We've got a community shop with a post office. We've got a community garden just out there. Because back then in 2023 or 4, we bought a field. And we've turned the field into a community garden. And it's growing so much of the fruit and the vegetables. And we sell them in our shop. And the farms, well, our farms, they're going from strength to strength. They've diversified a lot, and all of the produce comes here first to our food distribution hub. It goes to the shop where we buy it. If there's surplus, it goes out to the outlying villages, but first of all, it serves us. And some of the money that comes in, well, that goes straight into the harvest pot. I'll tell you about that in a moment. Anyway, behind the community garden is the forest glade. Well, maybe it's not a forest exactly. I might be exaggerating a little bit. It's a small wood, really, with a little lake. We dug it ourselves. Some of you here might help us to do it. We planted the trees as well. We've got sweet chestnuts growing. We picked the first lot this year. Some of you here might remember planting it. Back in 2023, I think it was, they planted the sweet chestnuts, ready for Christmas. Now, we don't have to buy chestnuts at all. Well, back in 2022, people said they wanted a school. But I did tell you we used to have a school, and now we've got one again. But it's not just any school. It's a lifelong learning school. Anyone of any age can go there and learn everything, because there isn't one little room with desks. There is everywhere. The church, for example, has got the best, fastest broadband that you can imagine, and that's where children and adults can go along and have online learning together and have discussion groups afterwards. Of course, that doesn't interfere with Sundays. That happens during the week. It's a multi-purpose building now. But sometimes on a Saturday night, we have international concerts streamed from the Albert Hall in our church. But the pub is doing ever so well. open mics every week. Our musicians are beginning to be known throughout Devon for being the best musicians. And what about our soup evenings? Do you know that our soup evenings had their 30th anniversary? They're going from strength to strength. We don't have them just once a month now, sometimes once a fortnight, because we really love getting together. We've got our hall, we've got our church, we've got each other's homes. We're having a lot of fun. And you might be wondering, well, where's all the money coming from for all these great ideas? Well, there's so much employment in the village now, you would not believe. We've got young people designing apps, local apps, so that we can book things from the food distribution hub. We've got young people constructing new types of drones to bring in luxuries like oranges. Because sadly, even in 2035, we can't grow oranges here yet. But we can have them delivered as a luxury now and again. But by and large, we're growing all of our own food. Fruit, vegetables. We've got eggs, we've got milk, we've got meat, we've got chicken. We've got all the food you can imagine. And it goes to our shop. And a part of that money goes into the harvest pot. Now, I believe that some people way back in 2022 had a great idea. And they said, how about if there's surplus from any of our events, we put it in the harvest pot? And then every harvest supper, if someone has a new idea for a business or a project that will help us here in our village, well, they can go to the harvest pot. And you know what? That's how we got our community shop. That was the beginning of it. And people were so enthusiastic that the money poured into the harvest pot and the community shop began. It was volunteer run to begin with. Sold all kinds of things, just like the village shop did. Someone here might tell me, but 50 years ago, maybe less, 40 years ago, our village shop sold just about anything you could possibly want. Well, in 2035, we have it, but even better, because most of the produce we have produced ourselves. And it's not all work and education, you know. We have fun too. We like fun, don't we? Well, what do we do for fun? We have all kinds of things. We have parties in the glade, in the woodland, in the summer. We swim in the lake. We have picnics. Come the winter time, after the harvest supper, we have lots of music events. There's dancing. We have ceilidhs. Our local musicians, they come and they entertain us in the hall and in the pub, and sometimes along with the international musicians in the church. Our musicians are really busy, really busy. And we also have celebrations. So as I said, we'll be celebrating 30 years of the village hall. Or is it more? Someone will correct me, I'm sure, in a moment. And the soup evening too. So we celebrate these things. We also celebrate the children, not just when they're 18, because, well, it's quite, how old are you, young man?
6.
6? Well, I think that's an age to celebrate, don't you? Yeah, we even celebrate the young people at every age, and we don't just celebrate them with a little bit of a game or a toy or some money. No, no, no. We give a gift from the community that will be perfect depending on what the child is good at. What are you good at? What are you good at? Football. Well, in that case, what do we buy him? A football. So, it doesn't matter how young or how old we are, there's always a celebration, and we always welcome our neighbours. Because some of us, some of the Rattarians, have spilled out into, well, I was going to say foreign parts, but that's not true at all the way to South Brent. And we love our neighbours in South Brent, and we very often get together and talk about the old days and the new days And we do all kinds of things together. We might do painting and drawing. We might be arranging some of the vegetables that we've collected in our shop and in the shop there. There's always something going on for our neighbours in the local villages. We sometimes have little friendly competitions, of course, because the musicians in South Brent might like to think they're better than us, but actually, we know better. So we're having a lot of fun. And do you know why? Because the people back in 2022, they made a decision. They said, we want the future to be the way we would love it to be in our best dreams. And the only way we can do that is by changing things right now, so that the people in 2035 can enjoy what we've created. So I'd like to thank all of you who are here this evening, because you are part of what made that dream come true. We've collected 16 pages of visions from people in this village from all ages, and there's nothing in my story that didn't come from you. I didn't make it up. You told us that this is the village you'd like to live in. And I'm going to finish now, but I wouldn't like to finish completely without the last word going to you. So would anyone here like to add something to the story? What have I missed out that would make 2035 just perfect?
Something for exercise.
Ah, very nice. Thank you very much. Yes. What shall we do for exercise, Rattarians? We need a gym. We need a gym. Where should the gym be? In here. My goodness. Rachel, we're going to have to build an extension. Not to mention the community swimming pool. We might have to make do with the lake just to start with. If you've got any ideas, please do after the raffle. So that's coming up next. Don't worry, we haven't forgotten you with all those numbers. After the raffle, please do come and take a look at the maps. You can see the parish boundary, and you'll see that the map for 2035 doesn't have a lot on it. That's down to you. There are some post-its. You've got some pens. If I missed anything out of the story, please do add it to the map. Oh, and one last thing. This is very important. You're all invited to the party at the pub in January. We're going to have an open mic, we're going to have food, we're going to have activities, we're going to have a great, big, enormous community party. In January.
Which year?
Coming up right now.
What date?
The date will be announced. Keep an eye out on the Rattery email for the date. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to hand you over.